Alright, my boy, it's okay. Sorry, my boy. Okay, it's okay, my boy. Sorry.
She came to us as 2 years old from the Shishaloom-Folosi Game Reserve, along with a young bull that we got at the same time. Being that young, they only really start breeding when they're 6 or 7 years old. So she surprised us one morning with a calf. We had no idea that, it reached that point. She was an amazing. We had her for 20 years, so she was just such a beautiful rhino. Well, actually, she was 20 years old, I think, when she was poached. So, I mean, very much a part of the family, you can say. I mean, they don't know you exist, but because they're so much a part of your life, you feel like they're part of your family.
She had a soft heart, big heart, and just a beautiful rhino.
Father-in-law phoned me and he said, "How many rhino have we got again?" And I said, "Oh, so many." He says, "No, man, there's another pair of ears here with Bella." So I grabbed my camera because we were expecting her to calf and raced up there, and there was this brand new little calf. It hadn't even stood up yet. It was still attached to the afterbirth, and it was just amazing. And I just managed to photograph everything. It was so lovely.
Yeah, that female rhino is very special, really special. You stress about the remainder rhinos you have. You think, how many times can a person go through something like this? Because as silly as it sounds, I lost both my parents a couple of years ago, but that emotion, that raw emotion that one goes through, I had that same feeling when Bella died. Hey, my girl. Hey. Hey, my girl. Seeing what a human can actually do to a beautiful animal like that, so my feelings towards people have changed, and with the rhinos as well, as much as when I work with them on a daily basis, I just want to grab them, put them in my pocket and take them home. So yeah, it's, you feel more, you have to protect them more somehow. So, yeah.
Sadly, when I've seen them at their most vulnerable, when they become injured, often by poachers, the torment that they go through, the pain is very visible. It's a very tangible emotion that they are suffering and that they are in pain, and that affects us enormously.
We just buried her there. Yeah, we had to cut her up completely, literally cut her legs off of her body, and just because the bullet went through her whole body, through the lungs, and then lodged in the ribs on the other side. And even with the metal detector, we just couldn't find it, so we really had to get in there to find it, Yeah, shame. Yeah.
The most horrific injuries, and I think what the world needs to understand is that poaching is not hunting. It's not, the objective is not to put an animal out of its misery or to kill it quickly. The objective is to get the horn off at whatever cost that comes. And poachers have to do that in a way that is as quiet and as possible. So often they will only shoot an animal once. And if it's lying there injured or dying, they don't care about putting it out of its misery. They don't care about ending the pain and the suffering. All they care about is hacking that horn off as quick as possible.
So this is the skull from a young male rhino who was the victim of a really horrible poaching where he had his horns hacked off while he was still awake. I think they used darting drugs like vets would. And while they're anaesthetised, they hack the horns off and leave them to wake up to that pain. So rather shockingly, you can actually see on here, these marks here, this isn't the normal shape of this area. When you compare it to other skulls, you wouldn't be able to see through here. This bone would carry on all the way down. So this damage, a large amount of this has been done by a panga type weapon that's just come down with a large amount of force in order to go through this all the skin and the skull, in order for the poachers to get his horn off and then leave him to wake up to that pain.
Last year we dehorned them again just to trim the horns like a normal procedure, and a week later she was poached, and that for me was the hardest post-mortem that I've ever gone to. Just realizing that was my first rhino, and my first rhino experience ever was with her, and now I'm sitting here sifting through her organs trying to find a bullet, which was heartbreaking actually for me.
When you dehorn them, you feel like you've got a little bit of breathing space, you know. So it was definitely not something we expected at all. It was just so unreal to know that you've done basically for us the best we could do for her, and then that wasn't enough, which really hit it home as to that it's just a matter of when, not if. They're going to come, and you know, all we can do is be a deterrent and, you know, do our best, but at the end of the day we're not a match for these guys.
People that look after rhino become very proud of the fact that they can take care of them, and when that tragedy hits, when they get poached, you know, it becomes a very it's like losing a member of the family for one, but that shame that I think people feel, that we thought we were doing enough, we thought we had done what was required to stop poachers from taking their lives, and yet now we know it wasn't enough, you know, and that's a traumatic thing for someone to go through who loves and cares for these animals, to realize that their best was not good enough. And I think that's something that you can never get away from. That will haunt us, because you know, we've had rhino poached on our own reserve. It'll haunt us for the rest of our lives, that we thought we had it covered and we didn't.
It's the day of the poaching, that night. We were obviously keeping a close eye on Tank especially, and I found him crying. It was just pitiful, and I recorded it, and that went hugely viral, because I mean, you can just see this youngster, you know, he's so confused. I mean, what the hell? Sorry. So yeah, it's our 24/7, this is our lives. So they give us a lot of joy, but it's a constant worry, that's for sure. Sorry.
Alright, my boy, it's okay. Sorry, my boy. Okay, it's okay, my boy. Sorry.
Hey babies! Hey! Come on! Come on!
They are gentle, emotional, very loving animals. You know, they live in family groups. They live with other animals. Interaction is huge for them. They're not solitary animals. They get happy, they get excited. You know, all of our emotions, they display in one way or another. So I think it just brings them closer to us, and maybe when it brings them closer to us, it helps us understand them a little bit more. Little Banoy, he's almost 5 months old. His mother was poached. So we were quite lucky that he was found the same evening when poachers actually came in and shot his mom. What happened was he was obviously with his mom, and when they shot her and they were hacking her horns off, he was trying to chase the poachers away, trying to defend his mom, and they actually took an axe and they started hacking at him. So you can see he's got scars on his back, scars behind his ears, a scar on his forehead, from the poachers sort of trying to get him away from his mom. And thank God, you know, they didn't actually kill him. What they normally do in a situation like that is they try and they go for the back, the spinal cord, so that they actually paralyze them. So sometimes you'll find little calves like that they don't actually kill them, they're just left paralyzed next to their mom. You can imagine if your mom is now hacked up by poachers, that image of a human it's just terrifying. So now we come in and we want to help him, feed him, treat his wounds, but he sees us as the enemy. So it took us a week to get him to drink milk from us. Not that he even trusted us. He was extremely traumatized, crying in his sleep. So it was non-stop crying for about 3 days, just like pining for mom, not sure who we were, what we were trying to do, untrusting, charging us. So it was hard to get to him to treat his wounds. So, you know, that's where our job is so important, where we can spend hours and hours patiently just sitting and hoping eventually they'll trust us and that we can then work with them, get to them. But we were lucky that we had Kula, who's still being bottle fed, and he's very trusting. So we actually decided, okay, we're going to back off. We're going to introduce the two of them because he showed interest in little Kula, and we're going to let him bond with Kula and then learn from Kula that we are not the enemy. And it worked, as you can see, it worked beautifully. They accepted each other immediately. They're very much like people. They decide who they like and who they don't like. These two bonded beautifully, and slowly, you know, Kula would come up to us and get his milk, and then Banoy would realize, okay, well, this is actually, you know, it's not so bad. We can trust these people. And now, you know, we look at them now, you know, they're totally comfortable with us. He's very happy in his environment. He's got a mate. And I think a big thing with them at that age is the body contact and physical contact, either from us. So with Kula accepted us, and we were that for him. With Banoy, Kula is now that for him. So if you think of a calf in the wild with its mom, they are right on top of mom all the time, always looking for a little bit of, okay, I'm still here. So you'll see Kula will walk up to me, I'll touch him, and then he'll carry on. Whereas Banoy now does that with Kula. He'll go up to Kula, see, okay, he's still here. You know, so he's taken Kula as his motherly figure, and Kula gets that from us. Come on! When you look at a rhino, you see this tank of an animal, strong, sturdy, you know, this big horn and hard, thick skin, and that's sort of, well, me anyway, that's what I thought, okay, well, surely that's what they look like, they must have that as a personality. Not at all. They are gentle, emotional, very loving animals. You know, they live in family groups. They have full-on conversations with each other. They're very, very vocal animals. I think that's something that people don't realize about them. When you see them in the wild, you don't necessarily hear that. They're these massive animals, and yet they have this high-pitched squeak that they use to communicate, whether they're 2 days old or 20 years old. You know, that sound doesn't change. It's very high-pitched, and it's really cute. But they definitely talk, and they talk to each other. They talk to us. They let us know when they're hungry, especially the babies. They get super excited when it's milk time, so you hear them squeaking quite a lot.
Oh, hello. Hello. It's Beastie Boys. Yummy. Finished. Yum. Finished. Is it delicious?
They know the timing. At 7, they know that, oh, Jabu will come out from her room to look at us and then to let us out so that we were free on that big boma. They know the timing. Even if I call them at 4, oh, please come, they can come in. And they know that, oh, if Jabu is calling us, Jabu will give us food. We've got fresh food, fresh water every day.
We will never let it get to a point where we can't bring Rhino back. There are enough of us to protect, even if it's the last 200 remaining rhino, and that makes me want to work harder and recruit more people to our side and say, yes, it is a negative thing, and yes, it's, you know, we talk about all these negative statistics, but there is still this team of people that say absolutely not, we will not let it happen, and we will continue fighting no matter the odds, no matter what's against us. And I'm very proud to be one of those people that, you know, I'm not going to stand back and say, oh well, we've lost the battle. Every rhino counts, every life counts, and if I can protect 10 of those lives out of however many, you know, if each person does their bit, I think it's a fight worth fighting for, and I think we can win it. Not I think, I know, and we will.
Yeah, but I've been worrying before, but now they have dehorned. And you have tight securities, we have got cameras, we have got security. We are safe, me and my family.
Your rhino family.
Yeah, but
So lovely.
You must expect anything. Understand? Anything can happen. Someone can come and shoot you. Someone can come and maybe he or she is passing, maybe a snake and a spider. Anything can happen. But for me, I just feel like I don't care whether someone comes or what. I am going to do to make sure that I save these animals. That's my job. The only target is to save these animals. I don't care whether you are my father, my brother, my sister, my uncle, my cousin, my friend, whatever, or it's a God, whatever. I'm going to do the same story. That's why how I love this job. It's in my blood. My love, it's built by, you know, it's blood of rhino. I love these animals very much.
To become a black mamba, you need to be a strong woman, you need to be caring, and you need to, to be somebody who is patient. You need to have love of nature, a woman who knows what you want in life and also keep on pushing and motivate other people to, before you get what you want, never give up. Before you become a black mamba, never give up. You need to keep on pushing until you achieve your goals. And also be a person who loves animals. Because without the love of nature or animals, then you won't make it, because you will just be working for money. Yes, we are working for money to support ourselves and our families, but we also need to love the animals and protect them.
It's a lifestyle choice more than it is a job, and it's a calling. And once you've seen the impact of people coming in and hacking off the face of a rhino, seeing that rhino kick a circle 40, 50 meters wide with blood streaming out of its face, busy suffocating on its own blood. Once you remove the horn, they often expose the nasal cavity, which the horns are like a nail. It's got a nail base, so it bleeds like a stuck pig once you've cut it. And often that's how rhinos go. They suffocate in their own blood while struggling in a huge circle. And once you've seen that, it does kind of change you, and it does change your view on it.
The first case of poaching at Shamwari was in 2008. It was December 2008, and I can remember the incident very well. I was at the airport at Kigali and Rwanda, Central Africa, when John O'Brien, our ecologist, phoned me and he said we lost a rhino due to poaching. And we had an anti-poaching team, but at the time, we had no cases, so we were not all that alert. And I can still remember when I got back, my colleague was doing the necropsy, the post-mortem examination, and this specific animal was shot in the throat. It was shot through the bullet, went through the jugular, through the trachea, and as far as he ran, the blood was just coming from the nose, and he died. A big, huge bull. And at those days we had few rhinos, so we knew the individual cases. And this specific rhino grew up as a bull. We all knew him, and he was the dominant bull at the time. And when I got to him, I can still remember the emotions. In one case, I was quite sad about it, but we had no idea what was to follow. That was, we thought, perhaps one single incident. And then there was just more and more cases around us. Later, in 2011, we lost 2 more. And then we also had a case of armed robbery where the guys were after a rhino horn that we didn't have. But that was quite a traumatic experience.
Yeah, when I was working for Dr. William Falls, we had to respond to a rhino that was poached. It wasn't a pretty sight. We got there, this animal was still alive, like half the face was hacked off, and it couldn't even walk. I think from lying down, like his legs were weak, and he kept on like leaning on his face. So that broke me when I saw that. Like, I had to do something. I had to get involved in this fight. I was born on this reserve actually, so I grew up here and always had a passion for conservation. First time in a helicopter, I was hooked. All I wanted to do was to fly, and then I was afforded an opportunity to do that. So it took me a while to finish my license, because it's quite an expensive course. And when I was finished, then there was an opportunity here because they had a plane. They didn't have a pilot. It was a no-brainer for me. Like back home, I get to do conservation and I get to fly at the same time.
We are here to conserve the nature. We are here to make sure that the poachers doesn't kill our wildlife. That's why we do early detection, to make sure that when we see tracks of the poachers, we report them immediately and find out if have they killed the rhino or not. And we very much are working fast to make sure that they mustn't kill the rhino. Even if they're inside, we need to push them out of the reserve before they kill the rhino. So that's why the black members are the eyes and ears of the reserve, because it's all about gathering information and give it to the right people who can go down and face the poachers. As we are unarmed, we don't do that.
We do night patrol every day, and in the morning also at 6 o'clock. We wake up and check the fence. until 9. Yes. This is our regular job that we are doing every day, night and day. My parents, they are also working inside the reserve. So when I was young, I used to visit here. And my father would always take me to the game drive. So I was enjoying, and I was telling him that one day I'm going to work in this reserve. And it's true, now I'm working here.
The poachers are destroying our nature, because most of the jobs come from tourism and agriculture and stuff like that. Even the money that we are earning come from tourism and agriculture. So once the poachers are killing all those animals, I don't think I will still become a member, just because there is nothing that I'm supposed to take care of them.
As I am from the community, and the poachers are people from the communities who want money in an easy way. But I don't hate them, because I know that they think it's the only way to survive. Those people need education. They need somebody to help them to realize that poaching is not a good thing, and poaching is not good for them, because immediately they find you. Let's say it happens, you were found with people who've got weapons, they're gonna kill you, and your kids will be left with like orphans, and your wife will no longer have a husband. So when I see the poachers, I feel like those people need somebody to teach them how to survive, and they also need somebody to help them to get a job so that they can stop rhino poaching. I see a poacher as a human being, because they are a human being. They are just greedy people, but they need knowledge to stop what they are doing.
You get scenarios where somebody with just local people would get bribed or whatever to try and kill a rhino. But the majority of these guys that poach now is ex-soldiers, and they've got nothing to lose. They come from other countries, but they've got nothing to lose. They know the hardships of life, and they fear nothing. And they're not scared to walk at night and be in the reserves amongst the lions and the other animals. And our poaching guys need to be careful, because these guys will shoot if there's a problem.
Poachers are now putting IEDs, improvised explosive devices, on game trails, on random portions of the bush, if not for the anti-poaching, to simply blow the leg of the elephant, incapacitating it and making it a lot easier to remove the ivory. With the threat of an IED, with the threat of an unseen sort of ghost that lurks below your feet, slows you down and messes with the guys' heads a lot. Having a dog that is trained and the handler has the confidence to use the dog in that situation to detect a potentially explosive device is a great peace of mind for the handler.
It's organised crime. It's not just subsistent poaching anymore.
When humans start to use natural resources for illegal means, the only people that benefit are the criminals. And when criminals have power, life becomes very miserable for not just thousands of people, but sometimes millions of people. And that responsibility, I think, is not something that is, quarantined in Africa now. That the implications of terrorism are spilling out all over the world. So it's something that I think every human on this planet needs to take responsibility for now.
A lot of places have learnt a lot from what happened at Tula Tula, and they're not the only facility that has been attacked. But in their case, poachers came in, they beat up the staff, tied them up, assaulted them.
The brutality of poaching causes humans to become less and less humane. I think it starts off with the poachers themselves and what drives them to just do these horrendous things to animals. But even the good guys, even the people that are kind of on my side of the fence, who get called to these incidences, we can feel how every time we get exposed to it, we become harder and harder, and our levels of frustration eventually turn to anger and resentment, and You know, who knows what we would do if we were put in a situation where we came across poachers doing that to animals. We'd probably turn into animals ourselves. And so, you know, the tragedy of this whole issue is how inhumane humans have become.
Education is the only thing that can decrease rhino poaching. Because if we fight and all these things, we're all coming from the same community, we're all human beings. So we need to educate each other and put our boots in the ground, and then we can stop this rhino poaching.